Imagine you're inside an airport. Your flight home is only hours away. You have your passport, your phone, your luggage, and everything you need to finally go home. But then something happens. You suddenly get up and run. You leave everything behind. You run out of the airport, cross a fence, disappear into the surrounding area, and nobody ever sees you again. This sounds like something from a movie, but this actually happened. His name was Lars Mittank. He was 28 years old, a German man who traveled to Bulgaria with his friends in the summer of 2014. And what happened to him would eventually become one of the strangest missing person cases ever captured on CCTV. Lars had traveled to Bulgaria for a vacation with several friends. They stayed around Golden Sands, a popular resort area near the city of Varna. At first, it was supposed to be nothing more than a normal holiday, friends spending time together, enjoying the beach, and eventually flying back home. But during the final days of the trip, something happened that changed everything. Lars became involved in an altercation with other men. According to reports surrounding the case, he was injured during the incident, including an injury to his ear that resulted in a ruptured eardrum. Because of the injury, a doctor advised Lars not to fly immediately, and this created a problem. His friends were already scheduled to return to Germany. They couldn't simply stay behind indefinitely, so they left Bulgaria while Lars remained behind. At this point, there was still nothing to suggest that Lars would never make it home. He had another flight planned. He simply needed to recover enough to travel. But while he was alone in Bulgaria, his behavior began to change. Lars stayed in Varna while waiting for his flight home. And according to reports from his family, he began acting increasingly nervous and afraid. He contacted his mother, Sandra. During their conversations, Lars reportedly told her that something was wrong. He believed that people were following him. He was afraid that someone might try to hurt him. Imagine being a mother and receiving that kind of phone call from your son while he's alone in another country. You can't simply drive over to him. You can't see what's happening around him. All you can do is listen to his voice and try to figure out what is happening. And Lars seemed genuinely frightened. His mother tried to help him. She advised him to be careful and eventually arranged for money to be available to him. But Lars didn't appear to feel safe. According to accounts of the case, he also changed hotels and behaved nervously while moving around Varna. And this is where one of the biggest questions in the entire mystery begins. Was Lars actually being followed? Or did he believe he was being followed because something was happening to him medically or psychologically? At this point, nobody knows. Eventually, July 8 arrived. This was supposed to be the day Lars finally went home. His flight was scheduled from Varna Airport. He had his passport. He had his luggage. He had his phone. Everything appeared ready. All Lars needed to do was get on the plane. And for a moment, it looked like the mystery might end there, but it didn't. Lars arrived at Varna Airport and went to see a doctor before his flight. The doctor examined him because of his previous ear injury, and according to reports, the doctor eventually determined that Lars was fit enough to travel. But then, something happened inside the doctor's office. Another man entered, and Lars suddenly became extremely alarmed. Whatever he saw or believed he saw, it caused him to react immediately. Lars suddenly stood up, and instead of staying inside the doctor's office, he ran. He ran through the airport. Security cameras captured his movements, and this footage would become one of the most important pieces of evidence in the entire case. Think about how strange that is. Most missing person cases begin with uncertainty. Investigators have to figure out where the person was last seen. They might have a photograph, maybe a witness saw them, maybe there is a phone record. But in Lars's case, we have something much more unusual. we can actually see his final known moments. The cameras captured him leaving the airport. He moved quickly, he went outside, and then he climbed or crossed a fence surrounding the airport area. After that, he disappeared. But here's what makes the case even stranger. Lars didn't take his belongings with him. He left behind his luggage. He left behind his passport. He left behind his phone. He essentially abandoned the things that would normally be necessary for someone trying to travel home. And that makes his decision to run even harder to understand. If he had intentionally planned to disappear, why leave his passport behind? Why leave his luggage? Why leave his phone? And if he was simply trying to escape from someone, what exactly was he running from? There are no definitive answers. After Lars left the airport, search efforts began. The area around the airport was searched. Authorities and people connected to Lars' family tried to find him, but Lars was nowhere to be found. The trails simply stopped. Over the years, there have been reported sightings of Lars. Some people believed they had seen someone who looked like him, but none of these sightings were conclusively confirmed. And that's one of the reasons this case continues to attract attention, because technically, there are several possibilities. Lars could have suffered an accident somewhere after leaving the airport. He could have become lost. He could have continued traveling. He could have been harmed by another person. Or, theoretically, he could still be alive, but none of these possibilities has been proven, and that's important to remember. When a case becomes famous online, theories can quickly become presented as facts. But in Lars Mittank's case, we have to separate what we actually know from what people believe happened. One of the most discussed explanations involves Lars' mental state. Before disappearing, he reportedly behaved unusually. He was frightened. He believed that people were following him. He made alarming statements to his mother. And then, at the airport, he suddenly ran away. One possibility is that Lars was experiencing a severe psychological or medical episode. If that was the case, he may have genuinely believed that he was in danger. From his perspective, running away might have seemed like the only way to protect himself. But even if this explanation makes sense, there is still a huge unanswered question. Where did he go? The area outside the airport wasn't an endless city. It was possible to search, and yet Lars was never found. So while this theory might explain some of his behavior, it doesn't completely explain his disappearance. Another theory is that Lars really was afraid of another person. Remember the earlier altercation. Remember his claims that someone was following him. And remember what happened inside the airport doctor's office. Something appeared to trigger an immediate reaction. Could Lars have recognized someone? Could he have believed that someone was coming after him? Could there have been something happening behind the scenes that investigators never discovered? It's possible. But again, there is no conclusive public evidence proving that Lars was kidnapped or murdered. That's the problem with unsolved cases. You can connect clues together. You can create theories. You can look at suspicious details. But unless evidence confirms the theory, it's still only a theory. And then there's the CCTV footage. For many people, this is the most disturbing part of the entire case. Because when you watch the footage, you aren't looking at an old photograph. You're watching a real person during the final confirmed moments of his known whereabouts. Lars is there, alive, inside an airport. A few moments later, he's running outside, and then he's gone. There is something deeply unsettling about watching footage like that, because we know something that Lars didn't. We know that this would be the last time he would ever be seen with certainty. At that moment, he probably believed he was simply escaping from something. He probably thought he would eventually return somewhere safe. Maybe he thought he would call his mother again. Maybe he thought he would explain everything later. But that call never came. More than 10 years have now passed since Lars disappeared. And despite all the searches, investigations, reported sightings, and theories, there is still no definitive answer. We don't know exactly why Lars ran. We don't know what happened to him after he left the airport, and we don't know whether he was running from a real threat or from something only he could perceive. His disappearance is disturbing because the case gives us just enough information to create theories, but not enough information to prove any of them. We know where Lars was. We know where he was supposed to go. We know what he left behind. We know what the cameras captured. But somewhere between the airport and the area beyond that fence, the trail disappears. And perhaps that's the most haunting part of the story. There wasn't a dramatic final message. There wasn't a confirmed kidnapping. There wasn't a body. There wasn't a goodbye. There was simply a young man running away from an airport and disappearing. Lars Mittank was 28 years old when he vanished. Today, he would be in his early 40s. His case remains unresolved, and his family has spent years hoping that somewhere, somehow, an answer will eventually appear. Maybe someone knows something. Maybe someone remembers seeing Lars after that day. Maybe there is a piece of information that has never been connected to the case. Or maybe the truth is hidden somewhere in those final moments, in the reason he suddenly ran, in the direction he chose, or in whatever he believed was waiting for him inside that airport. We may never know, but one question remains. Why did Lars Mittank run? And more importantly, what happened to him after he disappeared? Because on July 8, 2014, Lars walked into Varna Airport expecting to go home. Instead, he ran out. And that was the last confirmed moment anyone ever saw him. If you want more real mysteries like this, subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the most terrifying mysteries aren't the ones where we have no clues. They're the ones where we have the final moments but still don't know what happened next.